in the wheel, I need to measure the circumference to the grooves. Then I'll deduct a little bit from that measurement. I won't use that measurement. And then I need to measure the actual girth of the wheel itself. And I'm going to use a piece of leather for that. I'm not going to use a tape measure. So that measures 30.5 inches. I'm going to cut the leather at 30 inches for now. I probably will have to take a little bit off that still. So that's how wide I need to cut the leather. Now, when you stretch a piece of leather, I've got a strip of leather that's a long rectangle, which this will be. It'll be a long, thin strip. When I stretch it across its length, it will shrink across its width. So there will be still a little bit of stretch in its width, which I do need. So I need some stretch to actually stretch it around the wheel. I want it to be very tight, because the last thing you want is for the cover of something like this to be loose, and then when you grab it, it actually rotates around the wheel. I don't want it to do that. I want it to be as tight as it can be. I'm going to struggle getting it on, but that's how I want it. I want it to be super tight. So that is 4¼ inches. So I'm going to actually add a tiny touch more, but only a tiny touch more. I can always remove it later. So I said it was 30, is it 30.5? Double check. Yeah, 30.5. So I'll cut it at 30 for now. Obviously I need some seam allowance on that. So that'll bring it once I've sewn it together, I'll lose 3/4 inch. So I cut it at 30, it'll end up being 29.25, which I think will still be too much. So as you can see, when I've stretched it, I've managed to get it to here. So I need to take at least an inch off, and I think so. As you can see, I've stretched it a bit more, and I can take that much off. I'm just going to hold it in place, and I'm just going to make sure my ends touch. They touch. So as I manipulate it a bit more, I can actually stretch more out of it. So I'll put a little mark there. So I'm going to take 2¼ inches out of that. Try this on again. I think I may have took a bit too much out. No, that should be fine. So I think I can take a little bit more out. I'm going to take a little tiny touch more out of the width of it as well. Probably about 1/8 inch. It's not a lot, but it's enough. So that is that bit done. I need to now measure the bottom part of the wheel here. I've done 2 of these before, the exact same wheel, and my stupidity, I didn't actually make a pattern, so I'm going to have to do all the hard work all over again. The hard work is this part here. That is 20.5. So all the pieces have been sewn together, and I've stitched a line along the edge of the cover itself. This is for lacing purposes. You'll see when I get around to that. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to wet the leather a little bit just to help it stretch a little bit. I make these very tight, and they need to be stretched over the wheel. So just to help that, I will just wet the inside of the cover, and that just makes it a bit more supple and just helps to stretch it around. And then when it shrinks, it'll shrink back to the shape of the wheel. So that should be enough. So I now need to put this onto here. So I will start by making sure it's the right way round. So that's the back. I'm going to start with where the seams fall. Get that into its correct position. So those two seams are in the correct position now. Make sure they're in the groove properly. So I'm going to staple this part on here, because obviously this has got no way of staying in place. I'll put some staples in just to hold it into position. Put one in the middle. And I've also got grooves for these seams as well here, so I need to make sure these fall into the correct position as well. So I've just got this held here on this board, just to keep it into position. I can move it around as much as I want, but it won't fall over. So I'm going to use this needle here. Not sure if you can see it. This isn't actually a pointed needle, it's got a little bend on the end of it. If you use a very sharp pointed needle, then you have a chance of actually digging into the leather, which I don't want. I don't want to put scratches in the leather while I'm lacing this up. I'm going to need quite a long bit of thread for this. Should do. So sewing black on black is always tricky. It's hard to see sometimes. I just start to lace it up. So I pick up on a stitch, and then the next stitch I miss out and pick up on the next one, so it's in one, miss one. So it's every other stitch that I pick up on. I'm not going to pull anything tight for now. This one. So now I've got to that point, I'm just going to tighten this part up here. Okay. So this is just a case of gradually tightening it up. Not trying to do it all in one go. I don't want to put too much stress on the thread straight away. I've just got to continue now. So I'm just going to tighten this bit now. Need to make sure that the stitch line is in the centre, or as close as I can get it. So this is why I don't tighten it up all in one go. If I did and it wasn't actually lined up, it would be very hard to adjust where this join is. So I'll just gradually work my way around, tightening it up, making sure it's centred. So that's probably about a third of this part of the wheel done. Obviously once I've got round here, I've got to do the inside of this bit here. So I'll continue lacing this wheel up and I'll come back here once I've done this top section here, and then I'll move on to the bottom section. So the top half of the wheel is now done, so that's the back and that's the front. I've fitted the centre onto here just for now, just to see how it looks. All I need to do now is to lace up this bottom half here. Well, it's not even a half, it's probably a third of the wheel size. So it's obviously the same principle. I will start in the centre here, so it's underneath the wheel, so obviously when the wheel's in that position you can't see where I've started the stitching. I'll stitch all around and then that will be done. So the wheel is now complete, so it's all been laced up. That took quite a while. There's quite a lot of lacing to do and tensioning of the leather. So yeah, if it was just a straight forward round wheel with none of these spokes on the bottom, then it would have been quite simple. But having this bit here makes the job quite complicated because all these seams have to be in the correct position, and just getting that right took quite a long time. So that was the last job on the Range Rover, the steering wheel. So everything needs packing up now and it's going to get sent out to the Caribbean. So if you like that video, give it the old thumbs up and I hope you subscribed. I hope I'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.